We made it. Ugly Kid Joe Cross is here to keep us honest. Close one. We almost missed it.
We
We're
almost did.
almost
Yeah.
late. 9:01. We're here. We're live. Hey, Ugly Kid Joe Cross. Thanks for tuning in. And hello, Chad. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. I love this universe. I'm excited to get back to it in a different way. Not House of the Dragon, not Game of Thrones. But how are you, young sir?
I'm doing good. This is I made both of our returns to the podcast, for a series.
Yeah.
Also did the What's Watching Awards earlier this week, last week, but was the last time we were both like here was our anime summer.
Yeah. I think over the summertime. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is
Hard
wild.
Q3, Q4 break.
Yeah.
But I am excited. Watch my that top 10 list of Game of Thrones episodes. Really hard to not watch more. But I ran out of time. I didn't even get to number 10, which was Spoils of War.
Oh man. Yeah. Bummer.
But I ended like I text you, the finale of season 6. I'm just like, oh, this is just the end of the show right here. Just park it and just epic cliffhangers everywhere.
It's not only that, but just
Cersei becomes queen.
Yeah.
Daenerys is riding across the sea. Like so many things are just like parked in like really good spots. And I'm fine with Cersei just being queen. I'm like, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave it up to our imagination. Might have ended up better. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Just that I think those final 2 episodes of season 6 are just bangers, dude. Like I just watched Battle of the Bastards today, and it is as remarkable the 15th time through as it is the first time,
I think I forget those 2 are back to back. Like,
yeah,
like that's some serious activity going on there.
Yeah. And when we were texting, I asked you, I was like, I wonder where the books are as far as where the books end in the show, because we know that there are 2 more books to come out. It's been some ungodly amount of time, like 10 years or something, since he's written, or maybe even longer than that, since he's been writing Winds of Winter.
10. Yeah.
So I was curious if that was where the books were, but it does not seem like. It seems like the books are up to the end of season 5, which I think is what we determined. So season 6 was all the showrunners for Game of Thrones, probably with help, obviously, from George on what direction he's heading, I'm sure.
For sure.
But still, I always assumed in my mind that what really happened with Game of Thrones and how it ended was that they didn't have the books to go off of, right?
Yeah. Well, and you can kind of tell in like season 6, right? Because they probably had a lot of notes. There's probably some spillover too. But like everything has such a trajectory with like the books, and I think they just found like the natural like next step, which isn't too hard to do. And that's how we get to the end of season 6, and it's just awesome. But then it's like, how do you now tie it all up? Obviously season 6 would have been a nice place to park and be like, we'll be back in 20 years to finish the series.
Yeah.
It was that or finish it, I think. And they're just like, we got to finish it and do the best we can.
Yeah. I think another big problem is that they were the 2 showrunners had grown in popularity, right? They were moving on, they were signing up to do new things, and they were just over Game of Thrones. And I have a big freaking problem with that, because you could have, and I still think that it's, for my money, it's my favorite show of all time. I know a lot of people after season 8 that fell apart for whatever reason. But I have a big problem with you doing this show and doing such a good job with it over 6 seasons, and then just dropping the ball at the end because you want to go do Star Wars or whatever they were signed up to do.
They never ended up doing that.
And they never ended up doing it, right? They went on to be, I think the next thing they did was 3 Body Problem.
Yeah, and that's not even kind of living up to Game of Thrones. Like,
no.
That's what I mean. They didn't really go on to do anything that great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nothing was going to be that great compared to this.
Yeah.
Joe says he misses us a lot, and he's finally caught up on something because it hasn't aired yet. He's so funny. He just games. He doesn't watch TV. He's the opposite of me. And I don't know who said. I didn't say the.
Oh, who said it? Might have been me. It's probably me. I have a tendency to
Keeping us honest here. Call.
might be. It's probably me. But yeah, I mean, do you feel that? Do you feel that same way? That it just like, do you have a major problem with them being like, oh well, we're just kind of over it, so we're just gonna rush through these final 2 seasons, crank it out? And...
Yeah, I mean that's not great. It really isn't. It's like at that point, would it have been better to just find new people to do it? Just tell them, like, all right, you guys can leave. We'll finish it. And I don't know all the dynamics there. I'm sure HBO wanted to keep going. I'm sure George had his reservations, but he still was there. They just wanted to finish it. Yeah, a lot of imperfect things for those last 2 seasons, right? 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
And really, at the end of the day, I think season 7 is fine. Like I like season 7, and really a majority. I like season 8 too. Like it's not this.
It's fine.
It's not this bomb that everybody thinks it is. I have problems with it, right? I'm a big Night King guy. I didn't like the way that story panned out. But I don't think it's this big bomb. But it does sound like George might be difficult to work with because
sure.
now it sounds like he's having trouble with the showrunner on House of the Dragon. And he said that their relationship is like horrendous. So he might just be difficult to work with. That might be the case.
If he'd write faster, no one would have to work with him as much.
Here's
read the book.
Yeah, here's what's going to happen. And I'm calling this right now. And this is really not like this groundbreaking prediction. But this dude's certainly kicking the bucket before he finishes these 2 books. Like there is no way he finishes this series. And that's a bummer because I did want to read the books, but I'm not going to start them if they don't finish, right?
True. Yeah, at that point, you might as well have the series and just leave it there.
Just leave it at the series. And
it's like too much to get into, to try to read, because there's so much more in the books and they're so dense and you have to like take notes to read them. Obviously, maybe a lot less if you've seen the show many times. But yeah, that's a lot to get into just for it to like literally the books take a different course and there's so much that is different and then it just stops. Like that sucks. Yeah, the best thing you got is to watch the show.
Yeah, I'm not here for that. And I do hear that the books they diverted greatly from the books on the show is what I hear. I know that I don't think the White Walkers are as big of a part of the books as they are the series. They're not even called the White Walkers in the book. So yeah, I don't know, man. I have the first book. I've tried to start it. There's 5 or 6 books out now. Like I've got plenty to read. I just don't like it's taking him this long to write the second to last book. Like there's no way. He's like 78 years old, I think.
Or if they get progressively bigger, like it's also a really big book.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. Yeah, he's 77 years old.
Jeez.
So let's look. I want to see what when the last book was. I think it was probably more than 10 years.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, probably. I mean, Game of Thrones wrapped in like 2016. No, that can't be right. 2019, something like that. And I remember book 5 came out while the show was airing. I'm pretty sure.
I believe. Yeah, that's right. So the book came out. The last book came out in 2011. Oh. So it's been over. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, depending on the day, 15 years. So it's been 15 years he's been writing Winds of Winter.
That's crazy. Like they start that show with all these books like in hand, and they're like, "We got time, right? We totally have time for him to finish it." Psych.
Yeah, I mean, I bet he told him that. I bet he told him like, guys, I'll certainly have these 2 books. And writers go through. I did a lot of writing for websites before, and the writer's block thing is like a real thing that just happens. Well, so I get it, but
I mean, I think it's a lot less about that. I think he kind of just took the whole like George Lucas route, but like having pinned himself to the fact that these books exist. So like George Lucas exists, but he's not, he's not writing books for Star Wars.
Right.
He's like, I own the IP. I'm like the creative director here. Everyone else write books. Everyone else do all the like legwork here. So I just think he just quickly got into like creative mode, and he's just like creative director. And if he helped with this show, right, Game of Thrones, all those years, he's not writing. Like
No.
he's too busy, and
Yeah.
he's probably difficult to work with, and maybe has like he's too involved, right? Maybe he should have not been involved and just wrote the book and
So,
let
yeah.
everyone else do their job.
So it could be that. And I think we talked about this before. It also could be that the Winds of Winter was ramping the same direction as Game of Thrones ended. And he saw the backlash of how Game of Thrones ended. And he's like, well, now I got to rewrite half of this book and try to take it in a different direction. And he's rewriting it. I don't know what could possibly take 15 years to write a book, because he did all the other ones in seemingly like 5 years.
But what's the biggest, I mean, I'll ask AI sometime, but like, what's the biggest problem with the way Game of Thrones ended? Was it just because, like, my biggest thing is I think people were just upset that Daenerys turned out the way she did. Like, but it's totally there the whole time. I don't
100%.
understand it.
100%.
I understand like all the random like storylines, like the Night King, and like depending on what happens to like Jamie and like Jon Snow, like all of our characters. Like I get like people can have gripes with like how people's character arcs like panned out, but like to say like I just feel like the main problem was just like Jon Snow and Daenerys, and just like blah blah blah, like how it all ended. It's like I don't know what to tell you. If you've rewatched the show,
it's there, bro. It's all
she
there. Like
she has such a temper.
Yeah, dude.
Like she's super nice, and then as soon as like it comes down to brass tacks, she's like, "I'm just gonna kill everyone."
I think what it is it was that story. What at the end of season 8, that Dany turning story was just rushed to maybe like 2 episodes, where like Jorah dies and then other stuff happens and she just loses it in the span of half an episode, right? So I think it's just rushed, but it's not. If you really go back and rewatch the series, I mean, she says she's going to take her throne with fire and blood in like every other episode of the show, So
well, yeah, and even like Marine, I think that's in season 6. No, Battle of the Bastards.
Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah, so it's about like even the whole Marine thing. Like she's like talking to Tyrion about like how to handle this situation. She like kind of listens to him, but she's like, actually, I was having my dragons come burn them, and we're gonna torch. You know what I mean? Like she just flips on a dime. Like she's totally the Daenerys everyone thinks she is all the time, until like the 10% of the time she is not that.
Right.
And it's always at the end when she finishes it, because she's tired of everything.
Yeah. I think that story for my money is fine. Like I think Dany's arc through the first couple seasons, I think is the weakest arc of the entire show. The Dothraki stuff is like okay in season 1, but then once we get past that,
flip.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, it's all there. The Targaryens, half of them going crazy, is all there throughout the show. I mean, they talk about the gods flipping a coin every time the Targaryens are born. Women, right? Yeah. It's just I didn't have a problem with that. My big problem, and I think that's what people have the biggest problem with, is Dany, because people like name their kids Daenerys before seeing like. Maybe don't name your kids after,
I guess
characters.
It's all very obvious. Maybe not a lot of people rewatched it.
Yeah, and that might be the case. And it's easier to pick up on it. Like when we did the companion series for it, it's easier for us to go through and watch it all together instead of waiting years in between seasons and this long stretch of time. It's all there.
Yeah, and she is always. And even by all the characters that support her, she's painted as the savior, the one that will come and rule it right. And that's the hope. But like everything in Game of Thrones, your hopes always get crushed.
Yeah.
But like, I even like the fact that the throne room. Like we've always thought it was snowing on the
Yeah.
throne. It's just ash.
It's ash, dude. Yeah.
And it is ash. You just think it's snow.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's
I
fine.
thought that was great. Yeah, I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. My big problem really is just the White Walker storyline. And when you look at the whole of the series, the White Walker storyline is very few and far between when we're talking about scenes of them actually, right?
It's really
they're
hard
a big
home.
They're a big yeah, it's hard home, right?
Hard home,
the door,
the wall, the door.
So my problem was just the way that ended so abrupt. I would have made that fight against the White Walkers an entire season. Like that's what it had to be to have the weight that it should have had, right? We've spent 5, 6, 7 seasons trying to build alliances and bring in soldiers to fight these things that are coming. And then we do all that throughout the entirety of the show. That is Jon Snow's main arc of the show. And then it all ends in one episode, and Jon Snow never even gets to fight the Night King that they've been, that's like the worst decision I've ever seen on a show, is that Jon Snow does not fight the Night King. The Night King never even fights. They replace him in season, trying to think what, I think Hardhome is season 5. The Night King in Hardhome is a different actor than the Night King for the rest of the show. They replace him with a martial artist, like a badass martial artist, assuming that he's going to fight sometime, right? And that never ends up happening. And it just feels like you
didn't like that Arya killed him?
No, I hated it.
She just ninja'd in there.
If Jon and the Night King would have had a fight when they meet face to face during the long night, and something happens that separates them, and then Arya killed him, I would be okay with it. I'd be fine with Arya killing it. That kind of completes her arc, right?
Speaking of a sleeper arc, again, every time in on my rewatch, selected episodes, very few and far between were those. The many-faced god, but that is such a good arc on the second watch forward. Because in the one episode on my watch list, it did do the whole when she's the girl, going down to the market with her oysters and stuff, and to kill the dude. It's just so good.
Yeah,
it's just so good.
Yeah, I did. It's funny because I felt the same way on rewatches, but initially watching that arc, I was bored to death. But then on the second, third, fourth rewatch of it, I was like, all right, this arc's actually pretty good. I just wouldn't have used that arc to kill the Night King. You know what I mean? It made more sense for her to kill Jaime and then take his face and go kill Cersei or something, to where she uses the face. We get that she did it with Walter Frey, right? She used
that
it
made
there.
It in. Yep.
So yeah.
Anyway, enough about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
We're actually here to talk about 90 years before Game of Thrones, 80 years after House of the Dragon. So we're right in the middle, right? House of the Dragon is 200 years before Game of Thrones. So we are right here in the middle, talking about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And I didn't watch a trailer until this evening before this show. I've kind of kept it out of my mind. And I'm super excited for sure. I was guaranteed to be, because it is Game of Thrones, and I do. And after House of the Dragon, I do certainly trust HBO's ability to land the Westerosi aesthetic, and that's why I chose this background here, because we're at a tournament, and this is all about a tournament. So I just think this is going to have really good medieval and just pure night vibes, because we don't have dragons. We don't have the supernatural stuff that Game of Thrones had. It should be very grounded, but we're also dead in the middle of within, a generation or so, right, in either direction, because we have Targaryens who are still in power, but they're obviously on like their last days. All because all but 90 years later, the Mad King loses his mind. Actually, probably less than that, 70 or 80, right
Yeah,
before Game
yeah,
of Thrones even starts. But then we have all of our kind of leads forward, right? All these familiar houses. So I am kind of excited to piece that all together. It always is so weird. I think I watched the Screen Crush, like what you need to know about this show, because they're good at no spoilers. I watched a different one that was shorter, but like just hit it with a spoiler right away. It's just hard because there are no kind of spoilers. Because the one video made a good point where it was like, technically, Joffrey spoils all of
oh
House
yeah,
of the Dragon
yeah,
and this,
yeah,
throughout his dialogues.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, have you watched anything or trailers or?
So no, yeah, I have seen the trailer for it, but I this is the same problem that I have, like that I had with reading the books while watching Game of Thrones. Like I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to spoil anything, and I really don't want to spoil anything here. And even though Joffrey, yes, does spoil a lot of House of the Dragon
Yeah,
in this,
it's the journey.
It's the journey, right? It's all about the journey, and that's I do have the same hope for HBO as far as it just seems like they can get this right? We haven't been let down yet. Um, and there's a lot of other spinoffs in production, right?
Yeah, well, the thing I was wondering was, not knowing very much, knowing nothing up until like this evening after watching a quick video or two. I thought this might be like an anthology kind of setup where we just hit like different nights, different houses, but it actually follows three smaller books that follows Dunk here and Egg.
Yeah,
So
they're
there's gonna
like
be three
short
seasons.
stories. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's gonna be three seasons of this, which I'm super excited about because that's a very definitive beginning and end. We have books that support it. They're lighter books. So I'm really optimistic that this is both easier for your like typical audience to follow along with, even though we're going to be peppered in with names and connections now in two directions to other series. But yeah, I'm excited that it's three seasons of something, right? And if does House of the Dragon come out this year
Yeah,
as
summer.
well?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I wonder what their cadence will be. I wonder if these will come out a little faster, because we know House of the Dragon is like every 2 years. I feel like.
Yeah, that's it. Dude, to be honest with you, I don't know if maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but that second season of House of Dragon felt like it came out of nowhere. Like I had no idea it was coming. And then all of a sudden we were doing a companion series on it, you
Yeah,
know?
I feel like
Um,
that's what's going to happen with season three.
yeah, and that might be, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited about this one because we spend so much time in this universe with the nobility, right? Like it's all nobles, it's kings and queens and people that want to be kings and queens. We rarely see the kind of boots on the ground. We get a little story snippets here and there throughout Game of Thrones, throughout House of the Dragon, but this one is going to be all dedicated to just a boots on the ground guy that's trying to become a knight, right?
And that's a good point. If you think about it, season one of both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon have that same feel, right? And like, season one of Game of Thrones is just so classic in like the nostalgia of like those first like handful of episodes where all these characters are literally, on a road trip into Winterfell. Cersei and Jamie are literally walking around like the north, which never happens again.
Yeah.
They're out in the woods and it's just like this caravan thing. It's peace. And the same thing with House of the Dragon. Like they captured like this pre-war, pre-war medieval times aesthetic, and they both do a good job. And like I feel like this one again is going to drop us right into that feeling. So at least we know that they can do that on the first season, but everyone knows that by the time the second season comes around, we're hot and mix of things. But this one maybe not, because there's no war, unless there may be a war that kicks off in this. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think there's a second. There's
know.
another Targaryen civil war in here. I don't know if it's part of these books in this story, but maybe that is like these build to that. I don't really know.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's just, you know, we hear about hedge knights throughout Game of Thrones, and we don't really ever see any. Right? We get a little snippets. I think Bronn tells like a story of a hedge knight in those lore and histories videos. But yeah, we don't get a lot of that stuff. So it's gonna be a cool angle to take and still be in this universe and in a different time, right? A different time in this universe that we have not seen yet. And that's always exciting to see as well. Like, we know the Targaryens are still in power, but they don't have dragons, right? So it's a different Targaryen than what we're seeing on House of the Dragon, which is they all have dragons, right? So yeah, it'll be exciting, and I'm excited. There's really not any of the spinoffs that I've read that are in production that I'm not excited for. I heard Arya might be getting a spinoff. That one I'm a little like, yeah.
Yeah, but that one, I mean, I haven't heard anything about that in recent time. My only inclination there was she was going to go east.
Yeah.
Or west, right? Which would end her up east. And, you know, that's like a Jade.
It's a Jade
Empire type thing
that,
going on.
That would be very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Game of Thrones, like samurai, or Game of Thrones, like China, like medieval, would be awesome.
And they said, like, in that universe, like, that's like the richest part of the world. Like, they are set over there in the Jade Empire, or whatever they call it. It's got a name, but I can't remember what it is. But it is based off of ancient China. But they've got like the biggest cities, the most money, like everything's so that would be very, very exciting. But when I heard that she was getting the spinoff, and this just came out that they're in talks about it like this week, I always remembered her saying that she's going west. What's west of Westeros, right? That's what she says at the end there. But this place is east, so I'm hoping that hopefully they're not on a flat Earth, right?
No, yeah,
they loop back around.
I think it works like Earth.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be, I'd be all for that. Obviously,
she actually lands in the Americas first.
Yeah,
before she gets there.
Yeah. And then you know, I could care less about Corliss's spinoff. Like, maybe it'd be cool. Like, we don't see a lot of. Yeah, he's supposed to be getting like 9 voyages, about his 9 voyages that he went on spinoff. But the one that I had heard that I can't really seem to find any confirmation on was an animated Robert's Rebellion. For my money, dude, take my money right now for an animated Robert's Rebellion. Like, I'd be all
like
over it.
Like what's the Viking anime on Netflix? Vinland Saga. Like a Vinland Saga style. Robert's Rebellion. That would be
two things. Rad. Two things could happen. Not to get off topic on Night of the Seven Kingdoms, even though it's all the universe. Yeah. Two things could happen if you do it that way. You can get the original actors as your voice actors. Yeah. Right. You could get Ned Stark's, whatever his name is, Sean Bean.
Well,
you can get Robert's voice. You could get everybody back as voice actors for this.
Yeah, and if they're dead, you can AI voice them.
And you could do that. Yeah, for sure. I personally, if I was going to pick one or the other, I'd love to see a live action Robert's Rebellion. I know that we know everything that happens in that story,
but they all have to be younger.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the perfect setup for an anime, though. Like, to show like a young Sean Bean, like, you just gotta do it in anime.
Yeah, I mean, they did do the young Ned Stark in the show. That was a different actor.
True, very true. They could use him again.
They could use him.
They use the solo actor. He'd be fine.
Solo would be yeah. And yeah, I don't know. It's just I for whatever reason, I am so drawn to that aspect, that story, for whatever reason. Like, that's got as much.
That's gonna be the cool thing about this, though, that I like, is because we're talking about the waning days of the Targaryens, and we're talking about all these other houses that are just becoming more and more prominent, right, around the Targaryens. Everyone's a little bit more equal, and eventually that leads to the Baratheons you know, rebelling against the Targaryens. And like, so I just feel like those little, I think there's gonna be like hints of that, or just like the groundwork of that. Not that they'll ever like directly reference like a rebellion happening from the Baratheons, but just the state of the Targaryens here, 90
Yeah.
years later, which is an interesting thing that, they're not going to wrap. And that's just like how much no one should care about like spoilers or anything in this universe, because House of the Dragon hasn't even finished yet. And we're already talking about a story where half of their bloodline is like still around, but they're definitely going to be referencing things that have already happened.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
funny that they're picking something so close like that, with that before finishing House of the Dragon.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting either way, because like I said, it's close in time, but it's going to be radically different, right? And that's, for my money, like in House of the Dragon, that's one of the coolest things to see is like, okay, where's everybody? Like, we see the Lannisters and they're still kind of Lannisters, right?
Yeah.
But they're very different, but they still have that Lannister vibe to them, cocky. And so that's going to be the exciting part of this, is it's not going to be the same people of House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones. So we'll get to see this iteration of the Targaryens and this iteration of the Lannisters or whoever else they bring into the show.
Just enough time to where like they can't even be like old.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, unless there was like the absolute youngest person in House of the Dragon might be alive in this.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly.
Very possibly. But it's like House of the Dragon, their children's children. That's what this is basically. So there's there's a generation gap there to kind of keep it separate enough.
Yeah. And it obviously they're going off a book and you wrote this, but it gives us, hopefully it doesn't give us any spoilers on it. I'm sure they're staying away from spoilers for House of the Dragon, right? As they're telling the story.
Nope.
I really hope that's the case. But
there's gonna be trash talking Targaryens where they just call each other out about who killed who.
Yeah. I do have a slight concern for the show. And this is really just going off of the trailer and knowing that we're getting fairly short episodes, I believe, too, right? Like 30-minute episodes.
You think?
I believe so. My concern from the trailer is that it does look a little kiddish.
30 to 60.
30 to 60.
Yeah.
It does look a little kiddish at times. Like almost
because
like a fairy tale telling of, you know what I mean? Well, and it might be because of Egg. Yeah, it might be because of Egg. And I hope that's not the case. Like, we have to also still remember this is a world of ice and fire. This is a very violent time that we're trying to retell a fantasy story in, right?
Yeah. Sir Duncan's like kind of like the doofy, knight.
He's like the female or the male. Oh gosh, what's her name? Brienne. Yeah, he's like the male Brienne.
Yeah. He's like 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I wonder if that'll be a very hard contrast where it will be kind of like that, but there will be legitimately the scenes where people get like swords put through the back of their skull kind of thing.
And that kind of stuff is fairly effective. And like, if you think, not to bring this game up for the 9,000th time, but the great thing about Ghost of Tsushima is it's so beautiful, and then it's spliced with just insane violence, right?
I should just play that.
Yeah.
I should just go play that. Yeah, that is true. I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. It could be lighter. It could use some lightness to it, to Game of Thrones, right? And I think it might help too, because the one thing that I don't discount anybody on when they're like, oh, I just can't get into House of the Dragon, I'm like, correct, because if you barely kept up with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon shows no signs of forgiveness when they start, because they're like, two people always have the same names. Everyone's a Targaryen. that there's no mercy when it comes to keeping track of who's who, and then like half of them look the same. So maybe a little bit of like easier. Here's Sir Duncan. Here's Egg. Another drawdown though that I do worry about is the whole like Mandalorian Grogu effect. The whole everything. Same thing with Last of Us, right? The
Yeah.
whole like male figure and then like child dynamic that's just like really popular in the past 10 years for stories. I hopefully it's not too much like that.
Yeah, that's I mean that goes back even further because there's a series of samurai movies called Lone Wolf and Cub, and that's exactly what it is. It's a samurai and his infant son at the beginning of it. So it goes back to that, and there's a lot of inspirations in The Mandalorian from that series.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like that for whatever like
Right.
I just eat that. Like the only thing that could have thrown it through a loop is if like Pedro got cast as, but he can't do that because he's Oberyn. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. You're Oberyn, but
you're Oberyn, brother.
He could play like Oberyn's grandfather at this point.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. We do have a Dornish puppeteer in this show. So we're going to get Dornish side. That's another side that I'd love to get a spinoff on because I just find them so enticing. The Dornish, I'd love to see like their resistance of the Targaryen of oh god, what's the Targaryen that rode the big dragon and conquered Westeros? His name?
Aegon.
Yeah.
I'd be confused with the other 4 Aegons.
Yeah, not to be confused. And there's like 2 Aegons in this, right? Yeah,
yes.
Aegon, and Aerion Aegon. I'd love to see a spinoff of how they resisted that dragon and push the dragon back. Like Dorne is just so enticing to me. I don't know why. It's just I think it's because it just feels so different than everything else on the show, right?
Yeah.
Both in aesthetics and in how the characters from there are.
Yeah, it's spillover from Essos, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of it's southern Westeros. Yeah, and I wonder, like, I don't know, are we going to be kind of like trapped here in our area, or are we going to get like side stories, or is it always going to be about Duncan and Egg? How much? Because I assume the books, since they're short and they're light, are all about Duncan and Egg. But I wonder if because we are more so in a larger IP that HBO is running here, if we're going to get other conversations, other characters, other scenes that are kind of outside of the scope of the books.
Yeah, I would think we're definitely going to. Probably not to the extent of Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon.
Sure, yeah.
But Joffrey does say that he's got 6 pages or something like that in the little night book about all his great deeds. So he does some great stuff. We know that.
Yeah.
Poor Jaime had none, right? And it's going to be cool. I think this is going to feel like maybe just a traveling duo trying to get him knighted. Season 2 will be maybe once he is knighted. And his kind
it's gonna be a less violent the Hound and Arya.
Yeah.
Far less violent and angry version of those two.
Yeah. It's exciting, man. And we might be traveling a lot through the show because I don't know where he starts, where he's heading. Right. You know what I mean? So we might be traveling a lot. And it does seem like they're traveling together. So they're traveling in some capacity. We just don't know where they're going.
At least we'll probably get to see some of, because that's the thing, is like middle Westeros is so dense of like locations, whether it's Harrenhal, the Twins, right? All the castles and stuff that are in the middle of the continent. It'd be cool if we did just kind of hang out there more, boots on the ground, like touring that area. Because even though we get to see a lot of it, we don't still get to see a lot of it. In the shows that we have, because we're always either at like a mainline location or passing through. It would be cool if they kind of are a little bit more in these towns in these castles, like in that area. Because
Yeah.
even though we've seen it before, it would be nice to see more of that area, because there's a lot of locations down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea where he starts off at. Like, he could be from the Reach for all I know, or
Yeah. Yeah.
The Eyrie.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get. I mean, the name Hedge Knight means that he's basically like homeless, I think, right? Like they sleep under the hedges, right? So
Yep.
I think we're gonna get a lot of like taverns, like the kind of the inns at the crossroads scenes in this, as they're traveling to wherever they're going. I'm very excited for the tournament. I eat these freaking tournaments up anytime that we've seen them. It looks really good. I don't know why that's so enticing to me.
I think it's cool because it's kind of, it's tournaments are such a, like, medieval tournaments are so cool because they're such a combination of, I guess, like, different sports that we have, like different sports elements. So like in one sense they're like wrestling, right? Where it's a lot of showboating. They all have like crazy armor that's very on the nose for like who they are, right? Like the one dude is a Baratheon, and he has just like antlers. Like it's just very, kind of comical at times. But at the same time, the jousts are very real, and it's very violent too. And then there's all the like spectacle around it, right? It's kind of like a fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's such a collection of things that make jousting so cool. And there's not a ton of like shows or movies that are like about jousting,
Right.
Or like that's the mainline event. They might do it for like a scene or something, but I feel like we might get like House of Dragon. We got a very good episode that was there was like a full episode or two at least about the tournament that they held, that we did enjoy a lot because it was a lot of just detail about putting on this tournament. So hopefully this tournament here is like multiple episodes, and
I hope so, dude. Yeah, and you have to think that it's at least going to be an episode, right? But I hope it's multiple episodes because
I guess he has to get into it. Like he stumbles across it, so like he has to get into it. Then it's like going to be some build up to it. Then it's probably going to be a 2-day thing. So I think it's going to be a good chunk of the season.
And while you're saying like, yes, it is like a sporting event like we have today, it's also like a job fair almost, right? Like people are coming in trying to get jobs as knights, and that's seemingly, I think, what's happening here. Like that's why he's at this tournament.
Well, I mean that's what sports are though too. Like they're always kind of you always got the talent, whatever you call them, people out there in the stands looking for their next pro. But in this case, it's just knights, like trying to recruit myself a loyal knight or join the King's Guard, I guess.
Yeah, and I just I love the one-on-one like tournament battle. Like if you go back and listen to those history and lore things, like some of the stories about the one-on-one, whether it's the Night of the Smiling Tree or something like that, like the story that I can't remember anybody's name from Game of Thrones, but the chick that transports Bran back to Winterfell, whatever her name was. She talks about it in those. It's just so enticing. I just find it so enticing that these guys just like beat the shit out of each other in front of everybody, and it was like a sport. Like that's cool. It
is like wrestling, because there are the jousts where like then they fight when they get knocked off or something. Isn't that like some sort of
I think they can choose to continue.
That's why what was the Matt Damon Kylo Ren,
the
Last Duel.
The Last Duel.
That movie was cool because like it was. Well, speaking of Matt Damon though, and Ben Affleck, The Rip on Netflix, everyone's kind of like
going
off about that. Watched it, but like I also fell asleep. Not because of the movie. It's just I was just like super tired and under a blanket and just fell asleep. I don't know. Also, just like constant like machine gun blaring just like puts me to sleep too sometimes in those
That's
action movies.
hilarious. Yeah, that's hilarious. What a thing to fall asleep to.
I know. I was like, I just like woke up like at the end, and it's just like chaos. I'm like, dang, I
Yeah,
don't know what's happening.
it's funny. It's funny you say that because I literally just watched this last night at work. And at the end, I was like, it was good, but I kind of feel like I have no freaking idea what even happened in this movie. Like, there's so many twists and turns. And
You watched The Rip?
oh yeah. I watched it last night at work.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It's just I feel like it might need a second rewatch so I can see what the hell's going on in this movie.
Yeah. My wife finished it, so she gave me like the download on it. So I need to rewatch it still because she didn't explain it super clear, but I got the gist of it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, it's not like, at least on that first watch of it, it wasn't very clear.
Yeah,
you know, like some of the twists are clear, but there's just there's like multiple twists. So
yeah. Looks like Joe sadly missed his career as a jousting talent scout. I mean, Joe, you're the milkman, dude.
Yeah, man. You are the talent.
Yeah. You're the talent. The scout's going to find you.
You think they had like scouts back then for knights? Like dudes just sitting up in the stands like, yeah, keep your eye on Sir Duncan here. He's supposed to be really good. Like,
I'm sure like certain lords, kings, and all that, like they had their people that gave them the like that were more involved, and they're like, so like who am I put my money on? You know what I mean? Like there's the experts out there that keep tabs on that, and the nobles, they got their ins.
Have you
insider betting?
Have you seen the like fully armored weapon MMA fights that they pop up on like Facebook every now and then? It's wild, bro.
I haven't seen one, but I know what you're talking about. My neighbor, he was telling me about it. Actually, they had that in Canton.
Oh, did they really?
I think it was at the Hall of Fame, something like that. But that was just, I think, here in the fall they had the full on like armored ring matches. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like a wrestling ring, but they're just in full suits of armor.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. Like swinging full metal weapons, like obviously probably dull weapons, right? But it's still
getting hit.
You're still getting hit. You're still getting your bell rung. I guarantee it when you get smacked with a piece of metal, whether you have a helmet on or not.
Well, yeah, helmet probably helps, but also doesn't help.
Yeah,
it's just like,
and that's like just watching. I think the Game of Thrones tournament did it really well. The House of the Dragon tournament did it really well. It's just how violent the jousting is. Like it's wildly violent.
Things get decimated.
Shields
blow up. The joust spears get shattered. You fall
the dude
off
in Game
the
of
horse.
Thrones. Yeah. You fall off the horse. The dude in Game of Thrones like got cut on the neck. Remember?
Yeah. You don't like it's too. It's not like you fall off the horse. Like you get knocked off the horse and you land on your ass or your back or your head. Like in a suit of armor.
Like
you're heavy. You meet the ground. The ground meets you. So it is interesting though, because you're talking about George and the showrunner for House of the Dragon don't get along, but this is George and Ira Parker, who's the writer on House of the Dragon.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So those two created this, but it's executive produced by Ryan Condal, which is the showrunner for House of the Dragon.
Oh,
so they must get along enough to make another show. Otherwise, like that work environment must be very toxic.
I mean, he said it sounds fairly toxic, and it also depends on how George sold his stuff to HBO, right? Like, did they just take it and yes, his name's on there, right? Because he created it originally. But does he have anything to do with the show, really? But I found a video of him talking about the first time that he wrote Game of Thrones, like the first line, something about like guys traveling in the summer snows, which is that opening scene where it's snowing, it's summertime. And then he goes on this like tirade about how he spun it from there. He's like, okay, it's summer snow, so it snows here in the summer. And then he had to draw a map before he started writing. He had to write down everyone's name so he wasn't like messing
Yeah.
up the name. I was like, dude, it was cool to listen to. It was like a 2-minute thing about how he just started the first book. But I was like, that dude, that's how I would have to do it. Like, I'd have to have a map. I'd certainly have to
You
write
gotta
down
have a
everybody's
key.
name.
You for sure have to have like a name key.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, this is the one, Joe. The Jousting Canton last year had a Lamb of God and Drowning Pool concert. That's the yeah. That was also what my neighbor said, because he was like,
what a bizarre,
he
what a
he
bizarre
was
combo.
he was suggesting I take my 5-year-old, and I was like,
Drowning Pool.
I was like borderline on the violent, like,
Yeah,
joust, medieval fighting in the ring, like that's already intense. But then I'm like, oh, and then we also have Lamb of God and Drowning Pool,
yeah,
live.
yeah. What a
like,
weird combination of things.
I know, right? I mean, that's just an intense crowd. I mean, that's Joe. I bet Joe has said he missed it. He would have thrived there.
Oh yeah,
just full intensity.
Yeah,
milk everywhere.
Milk everywhere.
But no, I mean this snuck up too though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'd miss it if I wasn't. I know I would remember or see something about it tomorrow if I wasn't doing a companion series on it. I swear.
Yeah. It definitely snuck up. I think that I maybe heard about this once. Like, I was like, oh, they're doing a Night of the Seven Kingdoms about Sir Duncan, and then all of a sudden it's here.
Here it is.
Like that's wild. But yeah, we got 6 episodes. Very short, obviously, season. We're working on short stories.
Went from 10 to 8 to 6. That's fair.
I'm not happy with the way.
This is gonna be short, like 6 episodes, and they're 30 to 60 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we're just barely past a movie.
Yeah, really. We're like at a 3-hour movie. Yeah, it might be like 4 hours all said and done. Interesting. Yeah. Better be good.
I think it will be, dude. I think it will be. I think it's going to be, like I said, just a different look at this universe. Like we spend all our time in this universe with the nobles. You know, we get a little bit of Bronn, who's the sellsword, and we get little snippets here and there of the knights, but not a dedicated full look at starting from the bottom, moving his way up through the ranks, which will be really cool. And I don't know if there is a war. You have to assume. I don't know that George can write anything where there isn't a war. You know?
This might be it.
Yeah.
Maybe at least this season.
Maybe, this season probably. I think this season's definitely going to probably be dedicated to his trying to get hired as a knight.
Yeah, because he does go on to do great things, as we know from Game of Thrones. So I'm sure he plays a part in the war. Like, it's the second Targaryen civil war. That kind of like probably rusts them up pretty bad. Again, they have hard times.
Yeah.
But what I mean, I want to see Aegon come conquer Westeros.
That's what I do. I think that's actually in the works also, or at least being talked about.
They have to.
Yeah, because we don't know a whole lot about that, right? We just know it happened, and he rode the biggest dragon of all time, and we know Dorne resisted him. We know little snippets here and there. Yeah, but it's not something majorly spoiled by Joffrey, right?
Right, and we know more about it through just all the dialogue, and then House of the Dragon talks about it a lot. It's like the story. But I don't know if there's anything explicitly written about that, or it's just always referenced in everything else. So that would be cool, because that would give them a lot of flexibility, especially if there's just like some histories on it, and that's it. And just do you could probably do 3 seasons on that. At least 2. Maybe one that's crazy. One crazy one.
One crazy episode, or one crazy season, I think that would be great. Obviously, like I said, Robert's Rebellion would be a great place to go. I'd love to see. I lost it. I had an idea.
Jon Snow.
No, I mean, I want the Jon Snow thing because I want it to be like Jon Snow goes north and figures out that the Night King was just like a soldier. He wasn't really the head honcho, and they're still up there. That's what I want. But that's just because I feel blue-balled by the White Walker story. Oh God, yeah, I can't remember. I had a great idea for where I'd love to see a show go, but as far as sequels, I could do without a sequel series.
Yeah, forward in the timeline.
Yeah,
just doesn't seem as fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's just there's a lot more compelling stuff backwards than there is
that George has actually written about.
That he's actually written about, right? And maybe that's, that might be the problem with the Robert's Rebellion thing is it's not like a book either. It's just snippets here and there. There's a decent section in that book that I have about it.
Yeah.
There's the points, the bullet points, if you will. But we just talked about that might be what happened at the end of Game of Thrones, where he gave the bullet points and they fucked up everything in between the bullet points, right? I wonder. The other one was, and this one failed and they canned it, but when the White Walkers came the first time, which actually got a pilot, which I'd love to watch the pilot. Like, I get you canceled the show, but you spent money on the pilot. Just put it out there. Like, just say, here, this is why we didn't pick it up.
Must have been bad.
Must have been real bad. Yeah, I guess.
Was that before Game of Thrones or after Game of Thrones?
After Game of Thrones, before House of the Dragon.
Wow. That's right. I did forget about that. They had a whole pilot.
They had a whole pilot.
Scrapped it. Too far back.
I guess, yeah.
The builders and all that jazz when they built the wall. And...
yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, I guess if it's like what has the most written, because we know House of the Dragon is written more like a history of.
Yeah.
These actually have books. Game of Thrones obviously has books. So I guess I wonder if that is their thesis, is like we are gonna hit all the hard written content first, and then once George dies, then we're just gonna go do our own thing. Kind of vibe. I don't know. So I mean, clear that he hasn't written about Arya going west.
Yeah, no.
That would be. I mean, the only nice thing about that sequel is it's Arya, who is cool, has very little to do, hopefully, with anything Westeros Bran in charge, and then it's just like often the Jade Empire.
Yeah, which could be sick. That's the only way that I'd watch probably an Arya. I mean, I'm gonna watch it either way. Let's be honest, but the only way that I would happily watch an Arya sequel is if she goes there.
The end of that season ends with Jon Snow showing up because he actually walks like over the Bering Strait, and like down to China. That's how you have to picture it. He walks there. He gets there from his journeys, and she goes into a tavern, or actually no, I don't know. Either John shows up, or he's already there.
Yeah, he's already there. Yeah,
he's already there, like hanging out. That would be cool. Kit Harington like cameo at the very end.
That would be sweet. Yeah. I wish I could remember where the heck I was going. Totally lost it though. Totally lost it. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm excited for this, and I'm going to be excited for like I said, I'm going to be excited for anything that's in this universe because it has not let us down yet, right?
Right. So far. Except end of Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
But the rest of the show is great, and House of the Dragon is great.
It's like I always compare Game of Thrones to like watching like the vault in the gymnastics where they do these crazy freaking flips, right? And then they land and they take one step off, and then they come back. You know what I mean? It's like they just did some crazy shit, but they didn't stick the landing great. Right?
They don't get a 10 out of 10.
They don't get a 10 out of 10, but they still, when they were flipping, it was awesome.
10. Yeah. All that was awesome, but awesome. You stepped off the mat.
Yeah.
You did not land it. The rest of it was great though. No one else can do that.
Right.
But you stepped off the mat.
So this egg. How long did you say this was before Game of Thrones?
90 years.
So this egg is not the.
No, because that was Aemon, Maester Aemon.
Oh, was it Maester? Okay, yeah, it was Aemon. You're right. Okay,
he was an Aemon.
He was an Aemon. You're right. Okay, yeah. Okay.
But definitely related.
Definitely related. Yeah, definitely related. Yeah, we got a whole new list of names we gotta keep track of.
Same names, new people,
new characters, same names.
Aemon, Aegon,
Baylor.
Baylor's back. Yeah. So I guess I'm kind of bummed that they're gonna be short episodes, but that's fine. They'll be digestible. I wonder if my wife can hang. She should be able to hang for this. House of the Dragon, she usually gets like 80% through those episodes, and then it's just like just numb because what's happening? The names, they all look the same. Their names are all the same.
They all look the same. Their names are all the same.
And the nice thing about this is it's like a sport because they're all like, there's the one with the horns, there's the one with the, they all look a little different.
Yeah. The thing about House of the Dragon that was tough too is we changed actresses midway through also, so it's like as if it wasn't confusing enough already.
They grew up.
Now they grew up and we have, we can't be like, oh, I remember her face. No, you don't remember her face.
Well, some of the actors. Never mind. Well, no, it happened multiple times. Yeah, because they got older, but then all their kids got older.
Yep.
It happened twice in both seasons. There was a big jump there. I think what really I could follow those two getting older, but it's when all their kids got older in the second season. I was like, man.
Yeah, really losing track of this.
Really, yeah. Especially the Aegon, Aemon, the trio of brothers.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm very excited for the summertime also because I feel like season 2 kind of blue balled us a little bit as well as far as any kind of major battles in any capacity. So I feel like we're primed and ready. Like this is a war, a very big war that kills all the dragons. So it's time to,
my guess is it's the last season. I mean, it must be.
It might be. I can't remember. Did they ever say? Let's look and see if it's picked up for a 4th season.
Or did they say there's 4 seasons?
I can't remember if that. I thought that they said that it was.
To end with season 4.
To end with season 4, yeah. But either way, I mean, penultimate season of the show. I'm hoping that we hit the ground running quickly on. And I believe the show kind of ended that way, right? Where like everybody was heading to some sort of battle.
Was that what they were doing?
I believe so. Yeah, if I remember.
I thought everyone was just pissed because the kids died. Her son died down in Storm's End.
That was season 1.
Expected to be released mid-2026. So yeah, it's definitely coming. That was season 1.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, there's
need to rewatch 2 then because I don't even remember.
Yeah, there's not a trailer for House of the Dragon season 3, but there's like during their like montage for the year, they had a couple scenes in there
that were new.
That were definitely new. Yeah,
sick. Well, crap. We're doing at least 2 companion series this year.
We are. Yes, we are.
At least.
Yep.
Well, we will be back Tuesday, right? Tuesday this week. You worked. Basically, we're gonna be live Tuesdays or Wednesdays based on when Chad's working, covering each episode. And I guess that's nice that they are short. It'll be easier to recap a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Aren't 15 scenes to go through. There's probably like 7.
Yeah.
Half that.
Yep.
But yeah, this will be good. I'm excited for a change of pace too. If it's a little lighter, more in the weeds, boots on the ground, all that stuff. I'm excited for that. Just because House of the Dragon is a lot of work, and I don't discount anyone for not getting into that show. That's really, you got to be really into this stuff to watch House of the Dragon. Game of Thrones, everyone should watch.
I agree.
First 6 seasons for sure. And at this point, now that I know how the way season 6 ends again, rewatching that, I'm like, just stop there, everyone.
Yeah.
There's cool stuff that happens after that, but if you want to stop there, just pretend.
Yeah. That's what always cracks me up is when you hear people talk about it, they're like, "Oh, Game of Thrones was the best, like season 2 through 4." I'm like, "No, bro. Like 5 and 6, those seasons are phenomenal, and 6 that's the best 2-hour combo of episodes, or however long it ends up being, maybe in television history. Like that that final
first
season
20
finale
minutes of the finale,
it's insane,
dude,
bro.
When Cersei blows up the Sept, I love that 20 minutes of life right there.
It's so insane.
The score and the way, man. Then she becomes queen. It's just all good. Everything's fine.
Yep.
That's who deserves to rule the 7 kingdoms, is someone as horrible as Cersei. Like, that's what King's Landing. That's the vibe of King's Landing. King's Landing is not
it's not a great place.
No, it's a shithole.
I would have, this is just me being me, but I would have killed everybody and put the Night King right on that throne at the end of the series. That's what I would have done personally. Like, none of these people deserve to be on that throne, right?
Yeah. Just old Bran.
Just Bran, yeah.
The Council of Bran, the three-eyed raven.
Yeah.
Just
you could definitely do maybe in 20 years you do a sequel series with Bran as king, hunting down Viserion, the last dragon, if you will, because we know he flies away with Dany at the end of the show, so he's still out there. You could do a lot. You could take it some direction. There's actually there's a YouTube channel that used to do like all Game of Thrones things. He wrote a season 8 about that, and it's fairly decent. It's just his telling of it is kind of a slog, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you're not watching it, you're just hearing him.
Yeah, there's still Valyria. Like, we only got like one boat scene.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to talk about for a spinoff, is the Doom of Valyria, because that is another thing that is just so enticing because we know nothing about it.
Yeah, and that's why the Targaryens came to Westeros.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, technically, that's kind of what started all of that nonsense.
Yeah. That's exactly. I'm glad you brought that up, because it was still eating me away over here. That's exactly what I wanted, because I've watched several videos about it, and it's so vague on what's going on. If it was like a natural, like volcanic eruption that killed him, or if they were messing with magic. There's a lot there, and I'd love to see that city in its prime, right? Because we go through it in Game of Thrones, and it's a cool scene. I love that scene. Yeah, it looks great. But I'd love to see it built up and like in its prime, you know?
Yeah. And that's where I used to assume dragons go to hide out. Like that's where Viserion went.
For sure. Yeah.
That wasn't Drogon at Drogo?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was Drogon. Yeah.
Viserion becomes the ice dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Poor Viserion becomes an ice dragon.
I mean, that was a sweet episode too. And he was sweet looking after he became an ice dragon.
I wonder if George was going to write that, if that was already written in his mind, or they were.
I would love to know what he told them. Yeah. Like what bullet points he gave, because he had to have given them.
Someone needs to like WikiLeaks that.
Yeah.
George's notes to the Game of Thrones showrunners for 7 and 8. Like, what are the bullets, George, you're giving? And I would love and it would be great too if they were all like, they hit all the bullet points spot on, and that's what sucks.
Yeah, that's what sucks.
Were George's notes.
Or the
other way is like, there's really good bullets there, and those are the ones they chose not to do. Who knows?
Yeah.
Which is it, right? Like, did he
Yeah.
give good bullets and they didn't do it, or did he just give crappy bullets and they followed it? Like,
Yeah. I think if I was a betting man, he gave good bullet points, and they just messed up the stories in between the bullet points. They rushed everything. That
well,
would be
yeah.
my guess.
Well, they start. Well, that now see that is where I will say for sure I would be annoyed if they were shorting the season lengths because they were like done. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's 100% what happened.
Oh,
Yeah,
if those were both 10, was it 7 and 6?
7 and 6, I believe. If
That's
they were both
gross.
10, dude, it could have been
Would have been just fine.
there. Yeah, could have been there. I'm
But at the same
learning.
time, if they're
I'm
just running off bullets, they probably don't want to also just like
drag it out.
Who knows?
But yeah, maybe that was their line of thinking, but then it ended up being rushed feeling. Right?
Spoils of War, man, he didn't write that. I sure hope that was that must have been a George one.
It had to be a bullet point. Yeah, it had to be a bullet point.
He's like, dude, Daenerys totally rolls up on the Lannister army and just Bronn, yeah. Oh.
Dude, and that was like that's the first time we see really the dragons fight in that kind of capacity. It's awesome
against like an army.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we see that in. Well, crap. Oh no, yeah, they put the Bastillas on the ships. This is where I'm starting to bleed Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon because they both have Bastille operations.
Yes.
House of the Dragon has like the navies that have all the ballistas because that was when they actively had to think about anti-dragon.
Yeah. Dude, I was listening to obviously the historical accuracy of dragons are they're fictional creatures, right?
Right.
I was listening, I can't remember, it was some podcast, a popular podcast. And it was a scientist, biologist of some sort on there talking about how every society has depictions of them fighting flying lizards and how people believe that dragons did exist, but they have hollow bones like birds, so they don't fossilize at all. So that's why we've never found any of them. I was like, oh my God, that's like intriguing because how do all these societies have depictions, no contact with each other, and depictions of very similar looking creatures flying around? And
not just similar, like there's enough variety in them where like they are the same thing, but there's enough variety in them whereas like they were different like variants of like the same like species, right? Because you have the worms of like China, you have like more of the meaty dragons of like Europe, right? And even like South America and Middle Americas have dragons that were more, I think, like more like lizard dragon like. I don't know.
Just it's one of those odd things, and you see that a lot. Like all these societies have similar depictions of fictional things, and it's like how did they all arrive to the same flying lizard thing?
Dragons are real.
I don't know, and it could also be like
Game of Thrones is real.
Game of Thrones is real, man.
Before the Ice Age.
Just happened. It happened before the Ice Age. Yeah, it could have been like the timing here just makes no freaking sense at all. But it could have been like pterodactyls that survived somehow and carried on through, and then were eventually killed by knights or samurai or whoever was fighting them, right? But I was like, God, it's such an intriguing thought to think that these things might have been real. They had hollow bones like birds.
Yeah.
And they never fossilized. That's why I've never found any of them.
Yeah, I guess it's always interesting that though they align with like medieval tales and like clearly in the Middle Ages that we did not have dragons, but did we? I don't know.
Did we? Maybe, yeah.
There's that I'm not saying there's like there's like missing. No, there's this whole thing about it's more so like Eastern Europe, right? And like even like Russia, there's like a missing civilization, right? That happened that like the history, like we completely wiped from history that would like explain some things
Yeah.
about some gaps in some
Yeah.
information. I forget what the name of that civilization's called, but it's supposed to be like some sort of Eurasian one that existed that just vanished, and then they removed it from the history books.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that these things were fire breathing like they are in every depiction that you see of a dragon. I think that's firmly fictional, but I do think that there's something to be said that all these societies have this. And I also think that, not to get on a total freaking ancient history talk here, but I also think that a lot of these societies were far more technologically advanced than we are giving them credit
Or
for
come
today.
from ones that were
Yes. Yeah.
almost like that was a dark age. Like we went through a very severe dark age,
Like a reset, almost a reset of
reset.
society. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, until someone proves that that's not the case, I don't know why someone would go to that length to deny such a thing when
Right.
it's completely plausible.
Yeah, it's 100% probably.
There's plenty of evidence to say it's not, but there's evidence to say there is.
Yep.
It's more fun to think about. That's what that Graham Hancock. What's his name? Yeah, Graham Hancock. He has that Ancient Apocalypse.
Yeah, you got into that.
Yeah, I need to finish second season. It's all the first one's really good though, just because they go all over the planet, and he's just talking about all those same depictions of like similar stories. You know, some wise man comes by boat and like tells them how to do these really incredible things that ancient people shouldn't have been able to do. I think the last episode I left off on in season 2 is like the Amazon is actually like a bioengineered thing, like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Geesh.
You get in the weeds. Yeah, we'll have to do an episode about all that stuff because I find that stuff just fascinating.
Yeah,
that and aliens, man. Those are my jams.
alien dragons.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. Well, cool. We'll be back this week after we watch the first episode here tomorrow night. Y'all have a good evening. Chad, you got anything else?
That's it, man.
Let's set the outro video and bounce.